Okay, this is absolutely hilarious. So JD Vance is really in the news a lot and on social media a lot. He's really the gift that just keeps giving. He's going to be awesome, and I think there's going to be a lot of potential here to attack him on multiple grounds, even to the point where you can even kind of make it like a vice presidential race in terms of, hey, look at their vice president, almost like a Sarah Palin situation. Although to be fair, the Sarah Palin election, Sarah Palin and McCain were losing no matter what. There was no way possible for them to win. That's literally why Sarah Palin was chosen. It was just a Hail Mary. But apparently he's a furniture sexual. He's had sex with the couch. I don't know what that involves. If that's like I don't know, like humping a crevice or like maybe pegging yourself with the legs of the couch. I'm not really sure how that works. Maybe he can break that down to the campaign trail. He can run on that, being a couch sexual. Who knows? But there's also a lot of clips that are being unearthed of him saying a lot of very bizarre stuff about women, saying that like saying some negative things about women who choose not to have children. And then there's also some audio, I guess, being released of him saying that there should be legislation, like federal legislation, where if you're in a red state looking to get an abortion, you're not allowed to go to other states to get one. It's also pretty interesting too because it kind of brings up that kind of, I guess it could bring up that constitutional debate of like the interstate commerce clause, or whether the federal government has power over that is pretty fascinating, I guess, in terms of how it determines like infrastate action. So, anyways, so here it's saying some House Republicans slam Vance as Trump's VP pick the worst choice. A number of House Republicans are privately bashing former President Trump's selection of Senator J.D. Vance as running mate, warning that the pick will not help and could hurt the party's chances of winning in November. This is definitely true. His approval numbers are really horrible. The only thing is, like, his numbers among undecideds are weird. I think the poll said 5-29. It's like 5 approved, 29% disapprove. My only concern about that is if the sum is only 36 of the approve and disapprove, that means a lot of people don't have an opinion on it yet. So I think it's kind of malleable in terms of how it's going to turn out. We just have to hope that people don't end up finding him favorable once they learn who he is. Says the Republicans speaking to the Hill on the condition of anonymity. Damn, you know how bad it is when they have to speak on anonymity? Whoa! To discuss sensitive topic, raise concerns about Vance's foreign policy positions, lack of experience, and inability to expand the Republican coalition beyond Trump's base. The thing is, I think Vance is such a horrible choice. He actually hurts your ability with Trump's base in addition to lacking any ability of reaching out to anybody else. He truly is the absolute worst possible candidate. I can't think of anybody worse. There are, to be sure, plenty of Vance supporters in the House GOP conference, particularly hardline conservatives, including those in the House Freedom Caucus, who favor the populist American First perspective that the vice presidential nominee espouses, and he's just doing it in a fake way. He's not even genuine, which is surprising. Trump campaign is vigorously defending the pick. That's awesome. I'm really happy. Because honestly, one of my concerns is if we keep like shitting on the JD Vance pick enough, I'm actually scared that he'll be like, yo, he'll actually pull him. So I want the Heat to, at least for now, be a situation where it's not enough backlash to get him to actually reconsider his pick, where he actually replaces him. Because if he replaces him, man, that could, like, J.D. Vance can legitimately swing the election, guys, no joke. Because the election's going to come down to, I think, like, between the margins, it's really going to come down to a couple points. And so those couple points can be swung by J.D. Vance, especially with how horrible his approval ratings are, reportedly really, really horrible in some of those areas, like in Illinois and Ohio and places like that. So this could be really impactful in those kinds of places. Let's see, by Republicans who spoke to the Hill, including veteran lawmakers, moderates, and Reagan-style conservatives, who support a muscular foreign policy, said a much larger number of their colleagues harbored doubts about Vance. It was the worst choice of all the options. It was so bad I didn't even think it was possible. Anti-Ukraine, more of a populist. He adds nothing to the Trump ticket. He energized the same people that love Trump. I don't even think he energized a lot of the same people that love Trump, though. He doesn't really have that aura. I think Trump is more about vibes. I don't think he's about actual policy positions. And so I think his supporters are an extension of that. And then also, because he was anti-Trump before, I think it neuters a lot of his like pro-Trump supporters. So you can't even really be like, you can't pigeonhole him as like a really big Trump supporter as a result of that. Also, his wife is Indian, so a lot of the Republican Party is racist, man, like fucking racist as fuck. Like crazy racist, insanely racist. The House Republican leadership is telling the members of Congress, not the supporters, they're not issuing a message to supporters, they're issuing a message to the fucking congressional members. Stop calling her a DEI candidate. Stop making this about race. Stop making comments about race. That's literally what they're saying. And you saw that Vivek, clip where Ann Coulter was like, "Oh yeah, I wouldn't have voted for you because you're Indian." And the crazy part about that is Vivek says that he didn't even actually like ask her, like it wasn't expected to come up. She's like blurted it out, so it wasn't even like a sequitur in the conversation. It was just like random, like like what the fuck? It's just crazy racist. So that's really gonna hurt him, I think. Now, if you get somebody who's more of a moderate, then it's okay if they have an Indian wife because then they're they're going to a different group of people, right? They're like being advertised to a different group of people. I think if you were to ask many people around this building, 9 out of 10 on our side would say he's the wrong pick. A second House Republican said he's the only person who can do serious damage. Third House Republican said there's major dissension advance in the conference. Argued that if Trump falls short to President Harris in November, Trump's vice presidential election will be to blame. The prevailing sentiment is if Trump loses, it's because of this pick. And so this is going to be really, really interesting. The anxiety surrounding Vance grew more pronounced after President Biden withdrew from the 2024 race and threw support behind Harris. The ascension of a black and Asian American woman to the top of the ticket in the contrast to draws with the Trump-Vance ticket is a source of anxiety for Republicans who are hoping to see more diversity in their own nominees. And so I think that makes it worse too. I think it makes it worse that they're like women on the ballot because I think they'll be more able to kind of create this sort of contrast. And then the big thing I think will be you can kind of spend time kind of having the media cover like the weird stories about him like loving couches or whatever. And then also the other thing can be you can also be in a situation where with these tapes and all these weird comments coming out about the stuff he's saying, Roe versus Wade is one of the most salient issues right now. And so really, they really need to somehow bring it back into the fray. Again, if we're following the steady campaign strategy or steady campaign theorem, they don't need to do it this second, but sometime between now and November, ideally before October, somewhere probably September, by September, October, you want to start bringing Roe v. Wade back into the conversation because it's extremely salient. It's one of the most salient points you can bring up. And then you can try. I don't know if there's a really strong connection between women and abortion because the numbers say that there's not really a big gender divide on the issue. There's not really a huge gender divide on there. I think for every woman who supports abortion, there's a male. There's like maybe 0.8, 0.9, something like that, males that support abortion. So it's not that big of a gap. It's not really a gender issue on who supports it, but rather who it impacts directly, obviously, right? Because obviously it impacts women differently than it does men in more of a way, right? So I think they can tie him to that. So I think that's going to be very salient. But they need to figure out how to tether that to him. And they need to bring Roe versus Wade back into the fray, the massive fray, because that was huge in 2022. That needs to come back. They need to do that. And so this is just, they're saying that it's not going to expand the Republican tent. Policy concerns amid short Senate tenure. Questions them about breadth of experience, history of Trump criticism. Yeah, that's the thing. Choosing a Trump fanatic who's also a Trump critic and then just doesn't have any vibes, no aura, no nothing. I don't know what you actually get from this guy, man. So this one says, he wouldn't be my first pick. When the House Republicans said, I thought we were going to have a female candidate, but they quickly dismissed that idea. Nikki Haley would have been great, but he's never going to because she ran against him. Christie shot her puppy. Oh, yeah. I guess Christie shooting her puppy, I guess, was a bad situation for her. But I think, yeah, Nikki Haley would have been a good pick, I think, because she would have been able to reach out to diversifying the ticket in two ways, being a woman candidate as well as also being like a sort of extension of the moderate wing of the party. So I think that definitely would have been better. And, let me know what you think down in the comments down below. Who do you think would have been the absolute best choice? The maximum choice, the choice that maximizes their ability to win for vice president. Who do you guys think? I'm curious because I can't think of really anybody that would be super good, to be honest. Someone in the stream that I had last night said, well, Nikki Haley's a good option. I was like, oh yeah, that kind of makes sense. But honestly, I can't really think of anybody who is like, wow, like that was the guy they should have chose or that was the person I can't think of anybody. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that down below. This is super hilarious, and I really hope that the backlash isn't enough to where JD Vance actually drops out.